What I thought I'd do today is talk a little bit about pressure, because since the age of 15, my life has been a pressure cooker. Started on the national team at the age of 15, 6 Olympic Games. Now I'm trying to slog my way through medicine at the age of 40 and survive that and work for the Toronto Maple Leafs at the same time. So my experiences in dealing with pressure are varied and a wide range, and I've taken a lot of insights from that. You probably, well, you know now, Melissa talked to you, that I started medical school 2 years ago. I'm in my final year at the University of Calgary, and I'm spending part of my last year out here in Toronto. So I've been, by day, on the ice with the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Toronto Marlies, working on development or return to play with injuries, whatever is asked of me on those days. And then by nights, I spend my time in various emergency rooms all across the GTA. And so it's been a really exhausting but great experience. I do sleep at times, but I believe I have the best of both worlds. I get to do what my number one love is, which is hockey, and what I've done since I was 5 years old. Then I get to go in at night and try to help people who, in some cases, are having the worst day of their own lives. And it's been a very humbling experience. I always wanted to go into medicine since I was about 8 years old, when my neighbor, a girl across the alley, was actually run over by a grocery delivery truck, had very serious injuries, and I got to go to the hospital every day in the little town I grew up in Saskatchewan and watch her get better. But I also got to watch the way in which doctors and nurses cared for her. And it really inspired me that someday I would like to pursue that. But I needed to play in the NHL first. That was my goal. So I shadowed. So what I did, I played hockey for the national team, and then for the last few years of my career, I would go into the emergency room in Calgary at night, and I would shadow one of my friends who's an ER doc. And I spent hundreds of hours in the trauma bay watching and getting to observe different procedures, never actually getting to lay my hands on anyone, because obviously I wasn't qualified. But I knew that it was something that I would really enjoy. On the very first day that I entered medical school, day one, I decided to go back in and follow my friend, kind of as a celebration, like, you finally made it. It was all after all these years. And we were gonna have some fun and just enjoy being a legit med student. I wasn't in the trauma bay for 5 minutes, and we got a call that there was an unknown male who was found down on the C train in Calgary, and paramedics have been working on him for about 30 minutes. Suspected drug overdose. They didn't really know the time, but they were bringing him in. And my friend turned to me, and she looked and had a little smile on her face, and she said, day one, you're legit, gown, gloves, and masks, you're doing CPR, and he'll be here in 5 minutes. And my heart went through the roof, because of course I had seen this many times, maybe 50 times through the amount of time I had shadowed her. But now it was my turn to actually lay hands on another human being. So the first thing that went through my head was, oh my God, what if I do something wrong? What if I hurt him? I shouldn't be here. I'm not qualified to do this. And in about the span of about 10 seconds, I had a complete panic attack. My heart rate was through the roof. And then all of a sudden, I kind of paused. And I went back to every single thing that I had learned and experienced in my hockey career. Pressure, working in a team, making decisions quick. And I kind of had to gather myself within and say, for God's sakes, this isn't the Olympic gold medal final at the Olympics. Get a hold of yourself. So I'm fumbling the mask, and you know, it's funny now, but there's somebody's life in the balance, and just trying, and all I thought to myself was, just do your job. There's 20 people in this room that are way smarter than you. All you have to do is do your job. 30 to 2, staying alive, listen. They brought him in, fire put him on our gurney, and my friend began to run the code. And for the next 40 minutes, I traded in and out of trying to resuscitate this 19-year-old boy. At 10:56 in the morning, she decided to call it and pronounce that he had passed away. And I'll never forget, I was the last person to have my hands on him, and as I was doing CPR, and she said, Hayley, stop CPR. I looked over top of him, 19 years old, the same age as my son, and I thought to myself, who's your mother? Your poor mother. Why'd you do this? Where'd you come from? What has your life been like? What are the circumstances? Again, another million questions going through my head, standing over this boy. Meanwhile, the team kind of stops, and now they're moving on to the next trauma because there was one more coming in the next bay. But I wasn't quite ready to do that. So I stood there for a few minutes with my hand on his arm, and I kind of talked to him, and I said, I don't know where you're going, but I hope it's a good place. And that was my day one of medicine. And what I learned from that experience is I played hockey for a long time on the national team, 23 years. Won a lot, had a lot of attention, people admire what you did, they think it's great, you inspire a lot of people. And that was all good. And I was the best in the world at what I did for a long time. But on that day in medicine, I really realized that it's one thing to be the best in the world, and it's another thing to be the best for the world. And wouldn't it be great to try to do both? And so I carry everything that I have done in my hockey career into every night when I'm in the Emerge, whether it's Scarborough or Richmond Hill or Oakville, and someone comes through the door that's having a bad day, and it serves me well. But that pressure and that expectation is something that as an Olympic athlete in this country, you grow up with. Because our lives, probably a lot like yours, are lived on performance on demand. People don't know how much they need you until they need you. People come into Emerge, they haven't thought about all day until something goes wrong, and now they want you to save their life. People expect you to do a good job, but maybe they don't know the effort and the time that it takes to go into that. And that can be very overwhelming, that can come with a lot of pressure, but it also comes with a lot of opportunity.